Get your 7 words in.
I have a hard time bringing it up. All right, Steve.
You talked a lot last week.
You're a young
pretty
man.
proud of you.
I know you have a daughter, so apparently you can bring it up.
I'm 31, Rob. I'm getting old, right?
No, believe it, dude. You don't want to even listen. I found out that I have something wrong with me. Then my eye hurts. Then my knee hurts. Then my back hurts. Then the freaking TV in the bedroom goes out today. After I spent $240 on Lagoon tickets because I got them half off. And
That's half off?
200. That's not even. That's half off. It's $80 a ticket to Lagoon.
Teamsters.
Yes.
$240 to go to white trash Disneyland? Yeah, that's such a great deal.
Listen. I'm happy the brotherhood did it. It's not something I'm going to discuss. It's not something I'm going to discuss.
Union days, Robert. We all get to go and.
But I've the
union.
I'm on my month off, and I'm 2 weeks into my month off, and I was like, I'm going to start running, and so I started running 3 miles every other day. And
and
on purpose?
How's your knee?
Somebody chasing you?
Well, like I've gotten a little thinner. My times have improved because I got all those new games, and I'm feeling good. I like doing it. Donnie says, like, why do you run in the middle of the damn day when it's 1 o'clock? I was like, because it's hot.
Mostly
I break a crazy sweat.
Messages to all his friends that he's not working.
Yeah, well, it's just like the other part of it too. Is like I like it. Like the misery's the point of the running. So more misery, more fun. More running, more misery. It's all together. It's the same thing. I'm enjoying it. But anyways, I've not had
totally legit. Tom.
I've not
totally
had
legit.
I've not had it great. I am not even really leaving the house at all, and yet money is flying out of me like I can't stop it. Anyways.
What happened with your eye? You had salt in your eye. How do
you?
Were you investigating the Great Salt Lake drought or something?
I am sitting there. I decided 3 weeks ago to make the kids patty melts. After years of that sounds disgusting. I don't want it. Ew. Dad has sick taste in food. I was like, I'm gonna make patty melts, and then so I made.
Wait a minute. Wait. They know you eat at Jack in the Box and you eat their tacos. How do they not already know that Dad has?
Oh, that stuff's fine. That stuff's great.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's totally legit.
Me and my daughter have this joke, which is negative attribute attributed to Dad. So if Dad says anything, and people go like, and she goes, negative attribute, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, correct. So anyway, I'm out there making patty melts. So I'm frying the burgers and I'm pouring the seasoning salt. And then this windstorm just pops up and just blows all the seasoning salt back into my face. And so it burned because it's salt. But then I got something, either some crystal scratched me up in the side of my eye or something. I poured a bunch of Visine. We looked to see who was in the urgent care. It's all the physician's assistants. Thank you, but no thanks. I'll wait till tomorrow when there's doctors present. And then, so I'm just sitting here like I'm tearing up all the time. Like you're going to see me talking on this damn show with my eyes closed for 15 minutes at a time because it's a pain in the ass. And she's smiling at me.
Technically, it's a pain in the eye. But
emotional.
I'm an emotional creature. But listen, when you would see tears out of me, I don't want it to be because my eye is defective. I want it because I'm trying to convey emotions. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Boss Hernandez.
How high up do you salt your burgers? That's all I want to know. Do you salt your burgers like above your head? Like.
That's right, Kenny. In fact, I get on my little squat stool, and so I'm eye level with it. Well,
it's because you need to get it spread evenly, and so the higher up, it gives more of a saturation kind of carpet bombing effect.
I gotcha. All right.
I mean, you get too close. I mean, that's just pinpoint accuracy.
Listen.
And then parts of your burger are extra salty, and other parts are like, the desert, and that just sucks.
I'll explain it to you guys. So I turn up the grill to warm the grill. I bring the burgers out. I open the grill. No flames, but a lot of gas because the wind had blown the burners out. So I turn the burners back on, and I put the burgers on the top part of the grill because they're already in my hands. And that way, they're not at the bottom. And I can salt them and flip them on the top before I put them on the bottom. And then the magic of the salt crystals being lighter than the force that the wind is generating and the backsplash of the barbecue push them back into my eye. Okay? Why didn't you guys say Squibnandez? We haven't done that in 15 episodes. Hurry, it might die.
Squib.
Man.
Des.
Mr. Went brought that up that they hadn't said it in a long time. And he brought this up a few months ago. And I was like, So the part of me, so you guys,
to be honest, Tommy, I kind of actually had forgotten about it, but I do appreciate you bringing it up.
I don't want,
I mean,
things
outside of
shouldn't
that,
die.
like, let's see, big clouds.
Yeah. There's things that should never die. Candy Platt should always be known for where the weed at. Koski for pooping in the bathroom on the show and thinking he could get away with it as he carried his phone into the bathroom of the hotel.
The laptop.
The laptop. You don't want to miss the conversation. Anyways.
Oh, guys, it was a good week. Oh, yeah.
PARAcast, Tom Nelson, Bandzone. We'll see what happens. Anyway.
Are you flushing the toilet? I mean, gee, Steve, even when my wife like asks about it, you're like, okay, maybe that was a little too far.
Well, here's my opinion on flushing the toilet. I would rather you flush the toilet on the phone with me, or if the decision is waking me up or flush the toilet, the answer is always flush the toilet.
That's a good name for the show, Robert.
Flush the toilet.
Flushing the
Yes.
Bandzone. Anyways, joining me tonight, he's learning the phrase "close the fridge" in Spanish for his upcoming journeys. It's Steve Koski.
Sierra La Puerta de Frigido. I don't know.
Uno
should learn it.
more salsa.
Close. I'm sure Google will tell me.
How do you tell them to close the window and the fridge? Gotta say this powers. Hold on, I'll do that one last. Yeah, going camping is just another euphemism for getting drunk at the 7-Eleven parking lot. It's Kenny Terry.
Man, when you're pouring white, it's all you can do.
That's called white boy summer right there.
Who can wait for it to get home? And what's better than holding hands with your soulmate at a Detroit airport while watching reruns of RuPaul's Drag Race? Nothing, said Robert Wyatt and our guest, Jon Bautista.
Yeah, Detroit sucks.
It was a great time. It was a great time, Robert.
How long were you guys stuck in Detroit?
We were stuck in Detroit. It was in Chicago Midway, and fortunately, it was just me. While John was doing like Grand Prix laps around the Detroit airport, I was 3 hours delayed in Chicago because, surprise, surprise, for some reason, they can get a plane there on autopilot, but they don't have a pilot to take you where you want to go. So
That
figure
is-
that one out. 'Cause,
that is nuts.
that is some primo living there, Southwest.
that the logistics that they can move planes around without pilots.
Yeah, I'm impressed on one hand and marginally pissed because the flight was supposed to leave like Salt Lake City at 3:50, ended up leaving at I think it was like 5:50, so it's already delayed the whole way through. It's like shit, dude. I could have gone to work and like done something productive during the day, but goodness gracious, you get into Chicago and just saying, Chicago, you guys suck.
Oh, well, O'Hare's
I
terrible.
mean, well, it wasn't even O'Hare. I mean, O'Hare is terrible, but it was Chicago Midway. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like the Cubs, but I mean, the freaking airport. Like, this is the second time I've flown into Chicago, and both times I've been screwed over. It's kind of like this is what Chicago is. It's a giant screw you fest.
Just the airport.
Just the airport.
Just the airport.
On the plus side, I mean, if you get a decent rewards credit card, I mean, they'll pay for your stay overnight, so it doesn't cost you anything. Something we found out last year, thankfully, and that we did
You're
use
welcome.
all of that $500. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well,
Yeah, the whole cruise, the airline cruise timing out, that's always fun. We're about to take off, but our crew is timed out. And so we're now going to wait for 3.5 hours for another crew to show up. Oh, no. And they're flying in from LA or something.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, and this is like 100% the airline's fault. They can control this, but they're like, no, we got to overbook every single one of these flights because that's what we do. And I was actually talking to one of the flight attendants, and she's like, when COVID happened, all the pilots, they took early retirement. And so now we're desperately trying to catch up and train all these pilots up. But there's only one way to get hours, and it's, you got to fly.
Well,
And so they're trying to catch up, but it ain't happening quick.
Well, the funny thing is too. So I have 2 Delta pilots that work on my route, and I like to have conversations with them because they're on a bunch of farmland up in Midway, and people are trying to buy the farmland off them. But anyway, the interesting conversation with these guys is when you talk to them, and you're figuring it out. And we were like talking shop the other day. It's like you could be a UPS driver and make as much money as a Delta pilot that flies domestically. But he said the favorite thing to do is when you're about to time out and all the doors are closed, because you're on the clock, baby. You're making money. As they don't get paid nothing until the doors are closed. So pre-tripping the aircraft, walking through, getting the cabin and the stewardess, making sure you're sitting down when they're working, they don't get paid anything for that. When the doors
they shut and arm those doors real damn quick.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get out here, get onto the taxiway so that we can get you guys there 5 minutes early. Hell no, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get those doors closed so the time clock starts. That's what we're trying.
That makes a lot of sense. They're trying to. They want on-time departures and on-time arrivals, and if they don't start paying the pilots till the doors are closed, that's
incentivization.
Good thinking, right?
Incentivization. So there's like, so we're sitting there doing that. All the international guys make a lot of big money, but the domestic guys are just like, it's just a crapshoot, and there's a lot of the pilots now that have the ability to turn down flights. So their little section of the country, if it's not overbooked, if it's like Iowa to Missouri or something like that, they can decide whether or not to go do them or not do them. So there's a lot of guys who are part-time. These guys are both farmers who built their own houses on their own land, so they're like very much part-time.
A lot of those pilots are that way. I mean, like I remember for a long time we had a couple contractors who were pilots, and they flew for Delta, actually, of all things, and then they'd come back and they would build houses in the meantime, because why not?
Yep.
And that was basically just secondary income to them.
So what are you two turkeys doing flying around the country?
Yeah, well, hold on a second, Steve. Let's not jump right into the shooting.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're only 20 minutes into a shooting podcast. Let's not.
Let's talk about the weather and the price of gas.
Hey, I'll have you know. I mean, we were stopping and taking pictures of the gas station signs because gas was like $4.19. And
we actually prepaid. We prepaid for the car gas because it was like 10 cents difference to have them pump it versus us pump it. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as good as when Trump was in office, but dang, I mean, it got down to $4.19, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could buy the entire country for that money.
You've been Overton windowed. Anyways, okay, we're Area 5. They went to Area 5. They went there and shot it. They both shot in carry optics. They both shoot CZs. They both left-handed. They're both weirdos. Go.
Yay! Thanks for joining us tonight, bye. Good night, everybody. Dude, no, Area 5. It's a great match. So, I mean, we got out there.
Where was it?
This was in the range is Brooklyn, Michigan. We stayed in a little town called Adrian, which is a great little town. I mean, like kind of like the land that time forgot sort of thing. But it was an awesome little place.
2 days of shooting.
We showed up on Friday. We shot all day Friday, and then about 8 o'clock till about 11 o'clock on Saturday. So their range is split up. So they have it kind of in two little sections, and you've got the majority of the bays on. I'm actually not sure which way is north south, but let's just say on the south side. But then up on the north side there was 5 other bays that they ran the additional out of there, and then there's kind of a little road that they had a tractor with a little wagon type deal that would shuttle you back and forth up and down to each ones as you were going. And it's pretty. I mean, you shoot on grass and sand. It was gorgeous.
Yeah,
and the weather. The weather.
That
was
grass
awesome.
shooting is so strange for us people from the mountain west. You're like,
you can run
what?
hard and you can run hard and it doesn't feel like you're like, like stepping on rocks or you're going to roll your ankle or nothing like that. It's just glorious.
You could decelerate pain-free. I feel like I'm so old because I run besides the running trail on the grass just because it feels so much better.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And the weather was perfect. I think it was light humidity, which is, that kind of thing out there, which for me is basically raining. But for normal people, I mean, the humidity was pretty decent. The weather, I think, got up to like in the middle 80s at the hottest. It was it was comfortable all day long. Absolutely, like just sunny, gorgeous skies, a little bit of cloud cover. I mean, one day it sprinkled, like very lightly sprinkled for like 3 minutes. It was just perfect. You could not have asked for a better shooting time experience.
Well,
the stages sucked.
Hold on. The only problem we had, though, first of all, about that tractor. So Robert mentioned you have to be transported from the lower Swan bays to the other bays. So our squad 103 is on slow tractor, kind of like back in the heyday. We're in a little pumpkin patch, all of our gears on the inside, and we're driving by Hunter's Gold. And I see Brian Connolly, and all of a sudden, Robert yelled across, and the poor old man that's driving this tractor trailer just stops, and we're shaking.
Like,
and
everybody lurches forward and falls into the next guy, kind of stops. Hard
Just
brakes.
slams the brakes.
Oh, yeah.
So we are filing a formal complaint. We're also, all of us are going to file with our insurances against Eric Steiner, who tried to
kill every one of us.
Kill Squad 103. A couple of dudes had some whiplash, impacted their shooting. They couldn't see straight on the next stage. We had 3 stages to go.
Steiner did this? Steiner was the screamer?
Steiner nearly killed Squad 103.
Well, it apparently worked for him because he took 6th overall in the match.
That's how you eliminate the competition.
That's how you eliminate the competition, too. As a professional driver, when I hear random yells, you better believe I stopped. I stopped for the situation that I didn't know of. I could have been running over or about to run over somebody. That's why you stop. That's why you stop, John. You should have been prepared. You should have been prepared for that.
I don't think anybody was prepared for that thing to come stopping that damn quick.
Well, the one thing about big tractors is when they do not have a lot of stuff that they're pulling, they have gigantic, massive brakes for when they are pulling stuff, and so it's very nice, the stopping power on some of those things. You get a good old 18-wheeler up with a 45-footer that's empty in the back, guess what you got on that thing? Stopping power.
Yeah. But no, dude, the stages were really well built. Who's it? Walt Pagel. Yeah, Walt Pagel was the range master out there, and he's also the Michigan sectional coordinator. Did a really good job. This was a really technical match. There was a lot of long shots into skunks and partials, like headbox only type stuff, like really tight no shoots. And you had a lot of folks who were just eating mics and no shoots left, right, and center.
That's me. That's me, baby.
I had 11.
11
I
mics and no shoots?
I got 12.
No, I just had 11 mics.
Oh, okay.
That sounds reasonably high.
And John beat you by 1 with a dozen?
Oh, no, I think I got 4 more penalties after that, too. I think I got 2 no shoots. I think I'm in total 15 penalties in total.
15 penalties?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a tough match.
I don't think anybody got out of that thing unscathed.
No. This match is closest as you can to be an IPSC match while looking like USPSA. The closest.
What's a mic worth again? A mic is worth what, 15 points? The 5 points that you missed, and then the 10 points in penalties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So expand on that a little bit, John. As far as an IPSC match, just super tight, accuracy focused, or what?
So it's more of like throttling. If you watch all the IPSC shooters out in Europe and the Euro, for example, the Euro Extreme, there's a lot of acceleration, deacceleration, pivot shooting, acceleration, deacceleration, pivot shooting. Kind of like you go to a spot, you run really quickly, go to another spot, run really quickly, go to another spot. While USPSA, most other matches, locals, you're dealing with like a lot of true run and gun, burner, hoser style. While IPSC loves to do a lot of cadence change up. So you're going to be destroying a target at 3 yards open right in front of you. Then out of nowhere, you got to twist like 90 degrees to a skunk at 20 yards. And that will test your true trigger control. And that's kind of what they love to do at Area 5 was a lot of these cadence changes and transition changes that will mess you up very quickly.
After just having sprinted 12 yards or something.
Exactly. Or you're going from one extreme angle to another extreme angle, trying to figure out like, how do I navigate this with my body? And most people aren't very good at that. And as a hoser, that really showed what my weaknesses were.
Yeah.
John, I just did the math. It was, you only gave up 210 points.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit of points there.
There was, I think it was our stage 3 where you start off and you shot some stuff. I actually sent this to Kenny. And then what they did was you come into the second position, and there's an open target to your right, and you swing over. There's a popper at about 20 yards, an open target right behind that, and then it's all armored up with steel plating. And the popper activates another popper that comes bobbing up and down. But the only thing you see is it's a mini popper. Is the upper calibration zone
The circle of six.
The circle of it, and that's all you got.
So a popper activates a floating popper.
Yes.
Correct. A mini popper activates a moving mini popper.
That is surrounded.
Possible.
That is surrounded by other parts of steel. Correct.
It is.
Yes.
No, Steve,
So you
you're
get
right.
no positive confirmation. No positive confirmation. You hear a ding, and you're like, "I'm out," and you're like, "Wait, no."
No, Steve, it is. It's a hard shot. I mean, it took me 2 shots to knock it off as it was going up, and then I hit it coming down, and then I left because I'm that good. No.
I mean, just the mechanics of making a bobbing mini popper sounds pretty complex.
Well, that's like if something was brought up, it's like, hey, we're thinking about this match. I got this idea for this activating mini popper that goes on an elevator. It's like, I'm sorry, bitch, we're trying to get through 300 shooters. We're not doing that. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Well,
that's fine.
And Farley Collins can work that out of the local match.
Well, the cool thing was Leif Kunkel he's the owner of GX Products, makes the finest holsters in the world. Just kidding. No, sort of, but not. Anyway, no, Leif makes those holsters. He was actually running that stage, and it's good because he has a real eye. He always runs the Kentucky match.
Kentucky State Championship.
The Kentucky State Championship, and he just has an eye for making things work. I mean, he's almost, I'd say he's up there with Yi-Min in terms of being able to take care of a stage, and so he can watch them and babysit, make sure everything's running. So he was definitely the right man for the job to have on that stage to keep that thing running. But that was a challenging stage. We shot a standard stage where you started out in one of 2 boxes at the signal, draw the gun, 2 shots on some partials, run over, and strong hand only shoot 2 shots on these targets that were like, 25 yards away? 25 yards away?
About 30,
something like that.
I think.
Yeah, it gets farther the more we tell the story. But but it was an open, a tuxedo, and a slanty partial. And a lot of people died on that stage. And it was just it was crazy. And then the second string was you start in that same box that you just finished in, and shoot it freestyle, run over the next one, and weekend only shoot the partials there. And there were a lot of folks who zeroed that stage. There was a particularly high-ranking guy by the name of Max Michel, who I think he had like 0.2 hit factor on the stage.
Oh, almost zeroed it.
Yeah, he almost zeroed it. And so
.2918.
Did you guys survive it, John?
Yeah.
I did all right. I did okay. I didn't zero it, but
I didn't zero it
for sure.
Right. Good.
So Max Michel is on that stage 13. 6 mics, 1 no shoot. Yeah, that's a rough stage. That's a hard stage.
I had a 2.3 hit factor on that stage. That's how rough it was. It was a rough stage. Yeah, and dude, like I shot that thing, and the RO was like, make ready, go through, make ready. He goes, stand by, beep. I'm like, what? And you could see it in the video because I'm like, oh shit.
Well,
stage plan. What was my stage plan?
Can't you not react like you can in IDPA? You can.
Yeah.
You kind of can, but it just caught me so off guard. And I'm just like, well, shit. Okay, go. And so I shot it. I got over to the other side, and I look at him, and I'm like, man, that was a really short beep there, wasn't it? And he just looks at me. I'm like, you mother scratcher.
Just for clarification, Niels Jonasson, who won Carry Optics, shot 2 deltas on that stage as well.
Niels did damn good. He won Carry Optics. That was
if you look
awesome.
at the scores, it's great. Niels only shot 1 penalty, and then Mac shot 9. Shane Coley shot 11.
Mm-hmm.
John Browning shot 9 and 1 limited with 9 penalties.
The Super Duper squad, they had a rough day. I mean, they shot Friday, Saturday as well, and they had a rough go. But yeah,
I'm glad you guys had fun, because if I was walking, I'm happy. Well, how do you phrase? I'm happy you guys had fun, and I'm happy that you guys walked away with a bunch of penalties that really the top level of the sport also walked away with. Because it would be different if you guys walked away with a bunch of penalties and then those guys didn't, and you'd be like, man, I'm so far off.
We just
I got to get better. And then you're just like, oh, no worries. The universe. Oh, and Niels Jonathan shot like a perfectly clean match. Oh, the universe is fine. The universe, everything's okay in the world.
Yeah. But no, it was good. I mean, it was tough. It was a tough match, but I feel like they did a good job. The ROs were all generally really good. I didn't. Nobody on our squad had any real questionable calls or anything like that. I think I called for an overlay once, and then I did the Kenny Cherry and walked away. Just went back, started loading my mags.
Yeah. Let them make the call.
Yeah, honestly, it's the best way to do it. I probably should have stayed closer because they yelled back like, "What are you shooting?" And I'm like, "Oh, 9mm." And they're like, "Okay, thanks." But no, I just told them, I was like, whatever it is, and we'll just roll with it. There was one thing that was weird, and if you look at the rules, all the steel has to be painted. So you have the steel, the shoot portions of the steel, one color, and then the no shoots are supposed to be painted a different color. But they had all the no shoots painted the same as the shoot targets. And so I asked Walt about it. He's like, "Oh, that only applies to poppers." And I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And if you read the rule book, it kind of says I don't know. I wasn't going to go to war with it because I didn't really want a stage thrown out at that point. By the time we shot it, staff had already shot it, so they would have just tossed the stage. And I'm like, well, I ain't going to say squad because it is what it is. But I think that one was a bit open to RM creative interpretation, but I could be wrong on that.
Speaking about getting rid of interpretations and stuff, I said I would renew my SO certification in July for IDPA, and
I thought you were going to lead into Ben getting banned.
No, we'll get
that totally works.
We'll do that. We'll do that after the break.
We got a lot to talk about. We might not be able to answer any questions today.
Fine. I was reading the IDPA rulebook because it's July 31st, and why not procrastinate to do it? And I was going through some of the stuff that I found in there. I forgot all about the 15-second make ready. Do you guys remember this at all?
There's a 15-second make ready?
They have a 15-second make ready. If you're if you're ready to shoot, you have that time. If they go, "Are you ready to shoot?" and you say no, you basically have 15 seconds to go.
And then they say, "Are you ready?"
And "Are you ready again?" And if you're "I'm still not ready," well, here's your 3-second penalty procedure. Unload and get your ass in the back of the line. That's in there. And I was just like, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that. Rule. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. And then the other part that I was sitting there looking in the founder's intent, which I thought it was actually discussed pretty well, which kind of separates the USPSA versus IDPA thing. Let's see here. Let me scroll up here. Founder's intent. Oh, they changed it. Principles of shooting. Provide separate divisions and equipment and classifications for shooters, such as firearms, similar characteristics to group together. Okay, so basically the idea is to have restricted divisions, not to test the gear of the gun, but the quality of the shooters. And I thought that was a great summary of stuff. So that's pretty great, having the limited divisions. But anyway, I was sitting there going through it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Did you pass your test?
I have to take the practice test here in a bit. So
yeah, wait, you have to take a practice test?
You have to, I'm so far out of certification. I have to take the pre-exam and pass that, so I can take the full exam and pass that. That's how out of certification I am.
Is that by your choice, or that's just what?
That's by them. But I can do it on I can do it on the website. I can do it on the Robert. Here, you want to know? You know why I have to do this? You know why I have to do this?
These guys all go to Golden Corral and watch Matlock before they get tucked in with a one.
That's not why I have to do this. You want to know why I have to do this, Robert? Because in 2018, Mr. Evan Woolley and one Robert Wyatt needed an SO for the Utah State match, and guess who signed up? Me. Guess who got recertified? Me. And guess who ran the thing? Me. Guess who didn't turn in my SO paperwork?
Well, that wasn't me.
Not me. That's why. I gotta take this because it says I haven't been an SO since like 2016.
I cannot believe that it's been that long since I shot IDPA.
Well, it sounds like it look like just reading
been a good 4 years.
It's just looking at it and reading the rules. I'm like, man, I really love this. I wish it was closer to home. I like it. It's a fun. It's nothing but nostalgia and good times and great memories. Anyways, Steve, we'll do the power roundup. Did you do anything?
So I went to that Wasatch Pin and Plates Club steel match they have on the 5th Saturday, if there is one. And there was a accident in the bay with the steel tables where they have the pin matches.
Like somebody pooed their pants accident or somebody got shot accident?
No, somebody caught a frag, but he caught it. A significant piece came back and went into his calf. And like by the time I knew what was going on, his shoe was full of blood, and
oh man,
they had stopped the bleeding, but we were talking to him. We were like, "How are you feeling?" He's like, "I'm feeling a little lightheaded," and we had him sit down. And after a few seconds, I was like, "What's your home address?" He doesn't say anything. I'm like, "How do you spell your last name?"
Oh,
doesn't say anything. And they're like, "Okay, we're gonna get your legs up over your head and start treating you for shock." So they did that, and then a couple minutes later, somebody had his truck up there and drove him off to the ER. But he was feeling better. He was getting more responsive, and so they put him in a truck and drove him to the ER. But it's interesting. It was interesting to see, like, there's 10 people there, any of which could have provided decent first aid. But there's kind of this group mentality where if there would have been someone there who would have been a nurse or a doctor, then clearly we would have just done what they said. But we're all none of us were medical professionals. So it was we ended up we did all right. We did good by the shooter, but yeah, dude, it was just kind of interesting to see that.
That is so common though. I mean, you see it all the time. I remember this was years ago, but I remember taking this community emergency response team class through the fire department. They talk about that. They talk about that nonstop. That when something happens traumatic, people kind of just stand around waiting, thinking somebody else more smarter is going to do something. So the reality is, it's like, no, you go do this.
Yeah, don't be afraid if no one's stepping up immediately, why don't you step up? And if someone more qualified comes by, then let them have it, right? Because
I mean,
everybody thinks that somebody with a higher qualification will step in and will absolve them of having to do anything. But at the end of the day, you are the first responder, and you need to do something.
But the bullet off of those pin tables or whatever it was that came back,
they're just steel tables with right angles as far as the table, right? There's no slant to the table, and there's no rounded tables. They're just all right angles directly facing the shooter.
The LTD range?
At the WSA range. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know that.
But every shooter, like if you're in that bay, every time somebody shoots, you get zinged with something. Like there's a lot of frag in that bay. It's just this guy got a lot of frag, like enough. And if that would have hit you, I mean, it went into his calf. It wasn't a scratch. You know, sometimes you have a little piece of jacket on your face and you're like, damn, that really smarted. But you know, that would have punched a hole through your cheek or something.
What was he shooting?
It was just 9
at that point.
He was a bystander, and somebody else was just shooting 9 minor, just some plated rounds or jacketed rounds.
Because when you think about some of those higher velocity, 9 major, 38.
It wasn't. It wasn't major.
Well, like that stuff bounces back at 38 velocity.
Yeah.
Like that's something to think about. Is like, oh, that's 555 feet per second. Oh, that's a 38.
I also learned
the hard thing about that particular the LTD range or the WDSA range, whatever. It's a nice range, but it sure does seem to spit a lot of frag back.
Yeah, so they're used to have more rocky bays with more rocks up close. That's gotten better and better over the years.
Yeah.
As far as shooting into a rock that's 12 feet away and getting splatter back. They've dug the berms back, but that
good.
That pin bay's a force to be reckoned with. And I don't know. I'm sure he's fine, but hopefully they just pulled that thing out of his leg and patched him up.
Yeah, I'm sure they
sent
did.
him home.
So how'd you do?
I did. I had a really rough start to the day. I tried shooting with some new prescription sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
Like the I could not see my sights very well. They're all kind of blurry, and so I'm like, wait a minute. These are darker. They're a different prescription. I'm going to go back to my clear Oakleys. I lost my dark Oakleys in a river.
Oh,
I was dumb enough to take them on a rafting trip, and
look how cool I am. I wear expensive sunglasses on my rafting trip.
You have the nerd strap thing.
I know. I should have put the nerd strap on, but shame on me.
Just go get the Oakley.
2 stages down, then.
Because
got
you did
some decent glasses on.
You didn't lose the lenses. You
Good.
lost the frames too.
I lost the whole thing, and I'm the jackass who's knocking people into the river, and so someone finally, they knock me in, and then my glasses are gone. And
that's the way it goes.
Well, tell the
way it goes.
She is a fickle bitch.
That's what. Tell right. My Oakleys are gone, Mr. Insurance Agent, and so is my Rolex. They're both gone. KT.
Nothing.
Solid.
We're kind of side by side all week.
Well, I was dry firing a lot, and now I can't use my right eye, so that's also fantastic.
Hey, you're side by side or someone else's?
Mine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I put enough miles on it and sunk it 2 weeks ago, and she needs some work now.
Sunk it?
Yeah, so I guess when you drive in like 3 feet of mud, they don't like that.
Why? I became a section coordinator.
Did you suck it down the air intake or what?
Yeah, into the CVT. And the A arms are fucked up and coils got ruined. So.
Oh, that's not good, dude.
So was this unseen mud? Like I'm cresting a hill,
No.
I go into, or was this the we can make it?
Yeah, like I knew what I was doing, and my wife was smart enough. She's like, "I'm gonna get out while you do this." I was like, "All right." She was a smart one.
I once went on a go out into the back country shooting trip with my friend. Let's call him Will T. No, let's call him W. Thaler. And so we go out there and he's got his Bronco, like his old Bronco, and it's kind of like a junk truck he's been restoring. And there's all these mud ruts, and he's like, "Oh, I can go out." It's like, dude, let's just go home. And so he starts driving through these mud ruts and then gets stuck. So there's nothing better than carpooling with somebody when you have something else to do who's deciding to challenge their vehicle against the elements. So that's great, Kenny. Glad you did that. That's good.
Hey, at least I kept a winch. I was able to get myself out.
Oh, you mean the kind that pulls things? I was thinking the other kind of winch.
Vanessa brings you the pawn ticket for your Savage. Oh, here you go. Here's the money. Here's the money to fix the side-by-side. There you go. You can get it here. If you would like to pawn something, head over to DominateDefense.com. A belt so high quality, any pawn broker will gladly give you 20% of its worth, so you can get your next fix. But until that fix, you can practice and compete in style. DominateDefense.com. Use their promo code PARA10, save 10% off your order. Use that promo code at Precision Holsters. Get a fast holster, quite possibly the best constructed holster out there on the market. Precision molding to fit your gun. Check those guys out. And then also, Gallant Bolts, use promo code PPRO10, save 10% off your first order. Telegram, ask us questions. Is there any questions regarding the Bansville, or should we just talk about that first?
Let's see here. Hey, talk about Bansville.
Okay, Bansville, USA. So let me see if I can pull up the screen, unless you have the screenshot up there, Robert, which is let's see.
US conduct unbecoming.
Dear Mr. Steger, eat a bag of dicks. Love, USPSA Board of Directors. Wow, that was really abrupt.
Well, so they banned what, five members? Well, suspended. They suspended five members.
Yeah, that is an important thing to actually say, because when they're banned, I mean, piss off, you're gone forever. But they issued a suspension per the USPSA bylaws 4.13, I believe, and it says for 30 days you are ineligible to compete in any USPSA event.
Till the board can review it, right?
Till the board can review it, and at that point, you will have the opportunity to go and plead your case and tell us what you think. Tell us what you think and why you think your actions, whatever you did, was totally fine.
5 people. Was this all for conduct unbecoming?
For that would bring disrepute to the organization, essentially.
Okay, and it was who?
Let's see. Obviously, the famous one.
Well,
has been. Go ahead.
I'm not sure. So we have like a list of names. I'm not sure how accurate this list of names is, but Joe Rutkowski,
Ben
Ben Steger, Derek Lewis, Brett Whaley, Brandon Strayer, and then apparently there was a failed vote on Matt Hopkins.
I don't know about the Matt Hopkins thing. Somebody just posted that. I don't know if they actually punched them. I heard Patrick Brown, something like that, got booted.
The list of names is speculative about who got the ban or whatever.
Everybody knows who Ben Steger is.
And that's why he got banned.
And yeah, that is no.
So what was going? Was this for a bunch of discussions on his podcast or what?
Derek Lewis was PSI. Ben Steger was actively promoting destroying the organization or burning it to the ground, as he said on many of his Facebook stories. So he in all of his postings wanted to see it go away. And he has posts where people would say, I was going to join USPSA, but now listening to you, I'm not going to. So he's now actively telling people to not join the organization, which kind of is problematic. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think a lot of it started when this is all speculative, but I think a lot of it started with the practical shooting insights, whatever thing. And they were starting out, they were exposing cheaters and everybody was excited for that. And then, and that happened, but then obviously you run out of news to report. And so you start making stuff up and finding things. And
so I haven't heard of PSI. Is this a Ben Steger thing?
It's an Instagram page.
No, John knows.
So PSI is a meme page, as Robert mentioned. When they first started, they looked at the practice score data and saw outliers. They looked at classifier data. They started looking at post-score edits, and they started to highlight them out, saying, hey, these people are doing post-score edits 5 minutes after the stage has been shot. Look at these people. And then they started looking at outlier data related to classifiers, saying, hey, this C-class shooter is randomly shooting a bunch of GM scores at a random location at a person who's probably more infamous of cheating, perhaps allegedly, and all these other people have really, really questionable scores. And they went down that road for a while.
Hey, that guy lost his congressional run fair and square, John.
That's a whole other can of worms. So PSI was highlighting all these indiscretions related to scoring, cheating, and as Robert mentioned, they kind of moved away from it towards other stuff. The really crazy part about timing was the Infinity Open. And the Infinity Open has its own can of worms where Joe, the son of Infinity himself, decided to create a match a week before Nationals to drag people out to shoot Infinity Open. At the same time, Infinity backed out of the sponsorship for Open Nationals, creating this drama-rama with Infinity. And that in itself is its own issue. In between then, PSI started to also go off on talking about how this debacle with the Infinity Open, looking at organizational problems, anything that you would think about a mom and pop shop that's trying to become a bigger organization, talked about all those inefficiencies and highlighted them as like, oh, it's the end of USPSA. This is a terrible organization, and talked a bunch of nonsense, well, not really nonsense, half-truths about inefficiencies, but really made them out like this is a terrible organization. This is terrible people running it, and didn't provide any concrete solutions or even the full context of all their stories. So Ben would take, from what we can see from the outside, Ben would take their stories, the memes, and recast them and broadcast them out with his audience. Now, that's what we can see. The allegedly side, which Robert and I kind of agree to disagree. This is the part we talked about after the match. The part I think what people are kind of saying is PSI was talking a lot of smack about USPSA at the board. And Ben is the puppet master behind PSI, directing them to talk about these things and do these things. Now, Steve, the worst part of it, I think the thing that's kind of in the gray area, PSI started to dig as much personal information about board members. And in one of their posts, they incidentally showed the address and location of one of the area directors. They started talking about bankruptcies, liens, any dirt they can, and they went down that personal direction. And I think that was the thing that ended PSI. That's what I'm speculating, anyways.
That's not a speculation. That is what got him.
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap. That's online bullying and intimidation and threatening, and it's a classic example.
For PSI, 100% PSI. We have records of that. But Ben, that's where I have a little.
That's where I kind of have the.
Yeah, and
that's where I have the
agree.
issue as well.
Ahead,
so here's my issue with it. So let's say you're on USPSA shitpost 5,221, right? So you're there, and like all of a sudden there's an arbitrary line where you get banished for degrading the sport and moving people out. Now, there are plenty of. I don't need to see collusion between PSI and Ben Steger and all that jazz, because obviously because of the popularity of Ben Steger and because of that kind of thing can also be seen as kind of hip, there'd be people who'd be willing to do it, and sometimes people would be willing to do it to gain influence to Steger and not have Steger influence them. It's very possible. It's like, I want to be cool. I want to have these guys as my friends. I'm going to act like these guys as my friends, and then that's how you can have it. But the interesting thing is like, you don't want to have something in the organization that would cause you to lose your membership for saying bad things. It's like free speech. You allow all speech to be popular so that you cannot have arbitrary statements on certain free speech. The only difference between Ben Steger and a lot of other people is Ben Steger's platform. I can go out and I can post on Instagram. I don't post on Instagram. I could post about all the shit talking I want about USPSA and not be banned. You know why? Because no one listens to me. The other part is it becomes a dangerous thing in USPSA when you could have people who could be legitimate candidates for board of directors or presidents who might have a very contrarian point of view. And if we do not have a purposely like big old white line down the field that says what is past, what is inside the bounds of criticism, what is outside the bounds of criticism, then you could have literally elected people determining their greatest enemies that could run against them. Now, Ben Steger he causes a lot of trouble and he's a shit poster. And if there's legitimately something said or like ratting them out to the IRS or doing something that would actually cause serious financial harm to the sport.
You mean like telling people not to join and that you want to burn the organization to the ground? I mean, that might be up there.
Well, why can't we tell?
I mean, openly saying that it's your goal to destroy USPSA as an organization. I think that might kind of like be kind of grounds to have people, especially people whose fiduciary duty it is to protect the organization, to have somebody who's in the organization openly saying that they want the organization to be destroyed.
No, that's fine. Like if you literally say like, I'm here to like listen. I'm not only here to break up your marriage, I'm here to actively financially bankrupt you at the same time and destroy you. Like, that's an intention. But if I was sitting there saying, like, listen, the organization's not going the way we're going, I would like everyone in this area to withhold paying their dues so we can effect some change. Does that mean I get banned? Would that financially hurt USPSA? Yes.
Yes.
So for me, like PSI was holding the smoking gun of disrepute. PSI's banned. That's
fine.
100%.
That's done.
Now, the thing about Ben is he doesn't necessarily, from my opinion, have the smoking gun that I can see that he's actually causing that kind of pain, except dissent, negative views, and his opinion, and that's it. He didn't go after the board directly. He was criticizing the board constantly, talking smack about like how it's a good old boys club and whatnot, and how he wants to change it by quote unquote destroying it in the way that he would probably talk about it. But there isn't anything that's like, I'm going to kill the board, I'm going to kill the organization, like PSI was trying to do with his method of attack.
Well, the other
right,
part
but
is
he essentially serves as a general, and he sends out all of his minions to do his duty while he can sit there and say, I'm innocent. I'm just a total innocent guy. I just said things and people just did them. It wasn't my fault. He's done that his entire career, where he sends people out on his behalf, and then he can sit there with his and say, like, I'm a perfectly innocent choir boy, and I was in church when this whole happened. I didn't do anything. I am a good Christian.
Oh my God! Well, that's like, and if he's able to do that, good for him.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
I'm sorry that
if
you're able to get. You're able to influence people to do things that you see in your best interest, and then they willingly agree and go and do those things.
Well, not to invoke Godwin's law, but I mean, Hitler was a really good communicator too. I mean, yeah, we totally went there, but well, I mean, you expect that.
Everyone's a great communicator. Jesus has had a pretty good following for two millennia just on his words.
The long and short of it, though, is that if you put people in a position and you signal boost that, and all those people are going to go and act on your behalf, the organization has no reason to allow you to continue doing that under the umbrella of that organization.
Well, and
at this point, so they just said, hey, you know what? We're going to have a little bit of a timeout for 30 days. You're no longer eligible to compete in our game, and at the end of 30 days, we would like to sit down with you and let's discuss how we can move forward together and see if we can find a way that you can stay a part of our organization, and we'll take that road. And if not, that's totally fine, but that's on you. You can make that decision, but you get to decide.
John?
But the interesting thing is Ben is not an active USPSA member, if I'm not mistaken. He's not active.
No, Ben is
even funnier.
Ben is a has-been.
He doesn't even have his membership's not paid up.
No, he's a life member.
Oh, is he a life member?
He's a life member. Yeah.
Oh.
But the funny thing is,
but he doesn't compete anymore.
Like if people ratted out people with cameo.
Wait, no. He shot some area matches last year, or he put one on.
Matches. State matches.
Yeah, state matches. Not an area match, but like he was in.
Did he compete in it?
He did. Like Kansas Free State or something, or whatever it was.
Okay, I'm sorry. I take that back.
I don't have, like, if people have legitimate reasons for getting tossed out, fine. I just don't want it to be like, well, this was the post that broke the camel's back. Like you said, because the other part that comes into this is like,
well, Tommy, what part of the totality of events?
Totality of events. Everyone wants a totality of events when they want things done immediately now. Like, how many dead children till we get to pass gun control?
All of them.
Like, that's a totality of, well, there's my argument. Thank you. There's my argument. It's like, how many times do I have to say, like, in 2014, if I say destroy the USPSA? How about in 2018? What about 2019?
We actually talked to go ahead.
So there's one thing that I think we're not talking about a lot is if you talk to certain people who's been in the game longer than us, and some people who's been in that higher echelon crowd, I'll just say like MGMs, who knows the area directors, sponsored folk, there is a lot of back chatter of previous like instances of Ben being a douche. So we have the current events right now where he's like doing the meme wars and whatnot, but then we have this history that we're not aware of that I think that's where totality is coming in play. This is the cherry on top of his prior transgressions that didn't get him overboard, and this is like the board acting with what's happening now and everything that has happened in the past.
And that's
it's not color. It's colorful.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's fine, but I'm not sitting here arguing for Ben Steger. I'm arguing so me and everyone else who's like me or listening knows where the effing line is.
So we talked to one of the area directors at the match actually, and it was interesting to hear him talk about it because he said you can get online and you can call us BOCs, you can call us all sorts of names. We get that. It's part of the job. We're here. We're doing the best we can, and you can call us all these things. We don't like it, but it happens. People are going to, I mean, this game is filled with A-type personalities. I think Bruce Gary actually said that. And so everybody's going to have an opinion on this, that, and the other. Where it becomes a problem is when the board of directors is tasked with protecting the fiduciary interests of the company, of USPSA. And when you start going after people's families and like saying, hey, this is where this person lives.
Oh, that's fine. They're done.
Yeah, they're done.
They're done.
When you start getting into issues of libel, when you're saying that when you have people that are now telling you that, hey, I'm no longer going to join USPSA because of everything you told me about, that becomes a problem. You're now actively waging a war against the organization and its long-term interests.
We're talking about the same thing.
And any organization can remove people like that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Correct.
Tom, you're nowhere near the line. You can be a pretty big dick in USPSA and be a member for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You just can't hit that bell like all day, every day for 12 years. You know, sooner or later.
Yeah. And granted, I just want to but if I make a statement anywhere that says listen, have you seen what those sons of bitches have done to production? Have you seen it? What they've done to us? Not one more damn red cent to that organization. Like if I say that, if I say that, and I get 100. If I say that and get 120 likes, like all of a sudden some area director goes like, "Have you seen this guy? Have you seen this Thomas the Boss Hernandez? He goes by a full pseudonym so that we won't understand and know his real name. Like I just want to know the line. It's a sport.
But
that's
the thing. I mean, if you said, have you seen what these area directors did? And by the way, here's their address. And by the way, here's a gun that you can go shoot them with.
No, that's fine. They get kicked out of the organization. I have no problem with that. That's like, there's people who earn it. Like, as a person who sits there and represents people, there's people who earn it. And when they earn it, they earn it. Cameo, whoever ratted them out, that's a financial liability for USPSA. You do that. Boom, ban Hammersville. That's fine. You post people's personal information of other USPSA members that are derogatory and all that jazz. Ban them.
Okay, I'm gonna sum this whole thing up, and then we're moving on, because this is actually the
John gets to sum it up because he's the guest. He gets the last word.
Oh, okay, then you go ahead, John.
Here. And Kenny can have a last word too because he hasn't even taken a damn first one. Go.
Because Kenny's classy.
Okay, so the last word is this. At the end of the day, this whole organization, like what we do is kind of like a high school sport. We got high school drama, and we're in the thick of it, boys. But the problem that people are failing to realize is don't be an asshole and don't cross that one line that becomes ethics or morality comes into question.
Yes.
You could be a dick all day long, but don't attack my kids. Don't attack my wife. Attack me. Attack me personally.
Well, how about just not be a dick? It's all voluntary sport. We don't want any of them in there. I don't want to shoot with dicks. I don't want to have some like, listen, I've had people who are like, oh, I'm going to crush this, hate you, you're terrible, you're no good. It's like, all right, great. You can beat them, and that's a better reward. But like the sport's a whole lot better when we're not shooting with those people.
Well, that's actually the point, Tommy, is like, this thing happened on Thursday, right? And so Friday we shot the match.
No one cared.
And yeah.
No, Tom, literally, nobody cared.
Correct.
When you're at the match and you're shooting the match, you know what we were talking about? We were talking about the stages. We were talking about stage strategy. There was a guy who was having trouble with his Canik magazines, and that he had to swap them out. And everybody in the squad was trying to help him figure that out.
Oh, that's the best.
That's what we do. Okay, when you're in the match and you're in the middle of that, that's what we care about. That is the fun part. That's what brings us all together. All the rest of this crap, it's just in the ether. It has no value. It's just us talking about things that really don't bring any long-lasting value to the organization.
What do you think, Kenny?
Nothing to say about it.
10-foot pole.
I think Tom said last week nobody has integrity anymore, including half of USPSA. I have shot USPSA for over half my life, and it is the bod's doing fine. The members need to be better.
Oh yeah, well,
people look in the mirror before they start criticizing the bod.
Like, listen, like, how about we call our own mics before we criticize the board of directors? Can we do that?
Or volunteer. Volunteer before you
volunteer. Show up early. I don't build stages unless I show up an hour early all the time, and then I get roped into building stages. Like, it's fine. That stuff. Go do that. But man, you're part of society. You're part of society's problems. Look in the mirror. Don't be dicks. Don't be dicks. Then we don't have to worry about this.
Fix you, not me, Tom, remember?
Huh? It's you, not me.
It's you, not me.
The other is just like, I just want to know where a line is. I just want to know where a line is.
In the next 30 days, we'll have some more interesting news.
Oh, probably.
You need a t-shirt, guys. PARAcast needs t-shirts. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
I promise you, this is like Yeti coolers and like people boycotting the NFL. 30, 40 days. Nobody's going to remember.
Oh, it's got to be gone by. It's got to be gone by the next PARAcast.
They're going to find something else to be mad about, and we're all going to move on.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to continue? USPSA.
Yep.
And people are going to show up. They're going to shoot matches. They're going to have a great time, and we're going to keep on trucking because that's what we do.
The only part of me that gets a little scary, reading the IDPA rule book is where it talks about drop guns that are not in the bays, and why can't IDPA control that? Because they don't control the range. They only control the bays in which the sport is happening in. And the one thing I worry about is
that doesn't make any sense to me. That seems
that's IDPA.
That's a bunch of crap.
IDPA does not control the range. They control the bays. You drop your gun in the bay, DQ. You drop your gun outside of the bay, that's the range rules. That's what.
Well, IDPA for a long time also said that AIWB was a travesty and that you'd shoot your junk off. It's time. Just give them time. IDPA will generally tend to get it right.
That's fine. But my analogy is like, how much of our speech does USPSA control of our membership? That's all. Anyways, next topic.
Next topic. Questions. Do you think nationals should be smaller and limited to only the top shooters in a division, or large and fit as many competitors as possible?
Kenny, you get to go first, and please take 10 minutes.
GM Kenny, tell us.
I absolutely think it should be something you got to earn. I don't think nationals should be open to everybody. I do think it should be a prestige match that you have to work your way into. Just like PRS. I know people make fun of me for shooting PRS now, but just like PRS, not just anybody can go shoot the nationals. You have to work your way into it. You have to
make with you.
Yeah. You have to have enough points, and you got to be invited to them. I think nationals and USPSA should be the same way, because nationals right now is just the same as any state match or area match. It's nothing special.
But Kenny, what if I'm
a prestigious match?
I'm a one-arm C-class shooter.
No, well,
how about my feelings?
Shoot better, so you can, I don't care about your feelings.
But okay,
you can qualify.
That's a you problem, not an us problem.
So like I was always thinking, like, here's my idea for this was like, you win an area match. You come in top 2 in an area match, you get your ticket. You no longer get to compete in area matches for the rest of the year. You got your ticket. You come in 3rd, 4th, feel free to go to the next area match where you can come 1 or 2. Well, we have to limit the amount of people, and we have to do it some way. So should we just do it on names, or should we do it on match performance?
If you're only doing top 2 of the nationals, is the national going to be 20 people?
Correct. 20 people per division.
Okay.
Oh, and have a single match for all the divisions?
Yes. So if you come and like, hey, if you go shoot Area 5 and let's say you don't put up a bunch of penalties. So you don't do that, and you come in 2 behind Mr. Niels Jonasson. You two now have your place locked in for nationals, and guess what? You don't pay for it. We'll put
John,
you up.
John, you're an accountant. Tell me who's paying for all these matches.
So that's the biggest problem, guys. The reason why there's so many dang people is because they have to pay the biggest expense for any match, the ROs. Getting staff, the food, the travel to staff that match properly is the largest expense out of everything.
But if the match was, let's say, 1/10 the size, of course, some expenditures wouldn't go down because you would need the same amount of ROs. Or if you actually had, you only shot 3 stages a day, and each one of those ROs were trained on each one of those 3 stages and moved with the squad.
How about we ask it like this? If we're going to limit it to the top shooters, why don't we adjust what they have to pay to get into it to compensate for the fact that you don't have that many people paying? Would a top end shooter be willing to pay, let's say, about $1,000 more to be the top end shooter?
They'd be willing to shoot it. They'd be willing to pay.
They totally do that.
Yeah, they'd be willing to pay. The paying or not paying is not a big deal to me.
If that's the case, then let all the top end guys who show up to nationals pay $1,500 to shoot the match. So that they can compensate everywhere, because we don't have the bottom end guys that are basically paying for everything. Because let's be honest, the top end guys, they ain't paying for it anyway. They have sponsorships and sponsorship slots that are paying for it, so they ain't paying their way into the match. But we need to make them pay for it. It's a problem no matter how you cut it. I agree with Kenny. I think it should be a prestigious event. I really do. I just don't know how you do that financially.
So we were playing with this idea. Like, how do we fix nationals in the short term? And coming from California, Robert puked at me a couple times when I mentioned this to him. Right now, nationals is about $300 or so, $350, $375 or something like that to show up. Area matches like $250. What if we made nationals $650 to $750? Everything kind of remains the same, but it allows you to pay for more staff so you don't have to reset. So if we doubled nationals cost and you don't have to reset, and there's still some rules applying on how to get an actual slot into nationals itself, what do you guys think?
I actually like resetting. I would prefer to reset than pay more money.
But I think you just answered the question then, Kenny. You're not willing to pay more to have that level of an event.
I'll pay more if I'm getting something other than just not reset. If you're saying the only added benefit is to not reset.
You're right. No, sorry. Are you willing to pay more money to have exclusivity?
Yeah.
So you'd $1,500 to have it just among the top people.
Oh, great. So
Okay.
like if we're paying for exclusivity and we're not subtracting it by any other measure, we're gonna get a bunch of 55-year-old guys who have excess income. That's fantastic. We'll get the nationals. We'll get the nationals we deserve. Steve, you had a thought?
Well, you're still going to require them to place well at an area match.
Yeah, they can
right?
place. Yeah, they can place well. The one.
No, they have to be first, second, or third or something. Wherever you draw the line. Wasn't that your original idea, John? You have to rank so good at an area match, and then you're on the allowable list. And if you want to go to nationals, great. If not, you're just on this list, and they take the people off the top of that list that want to go to nationals.
And if you are going to pay, you have to have the competitors pay. You can't have any sponsorships, because what generally will happen with some of the sponsorships, you can take the sponsorship monies, but you'll have like, we would like our shooter to participate in nationals. It's like, well, your shooter's no damn good, but here's $10,000.
So
you got to be careful with that, because then it becomes like we're trying to make a pure thing, and then it becomes watered down nationals. Why? Because the fine people at Smith & Wesson would like you
$10,000.
They would like you. It's like, hey, Doug Koenig's in here. He's a great shooter.
For Ruger.
Ruger would sure like to have
Ruger and Daniel Defense can eat a bag of dicks right now.
Well, the problem is they also have a bag of money, so
they do. So I guess they can shoot nationals.
How big's the check?
Dude, it really hurts because I like Ruger revolvers.
Oh, I like Ruger really Daniel Defense. I just it just sucks that
it bothers me that you have people that would just cuck out to any government organization. But
oh yeah, we'll comply.
That's what it is.
What do you want? 6-round mags? Yeah, we'll make those. We'll ship those with the guns before a bill. Yeah, we like you.
Seems legit. Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Go to hell, Bill Ruger. Let's see, from Mr. Sebastian Munoz. What are the best places to eat near the Utah State Range? Well, it's not the dump, even though you can smell it from there.
Oh my gosh, in the latrines.
I mean, I don't think
you haven't had a latrine.
Honestly, there have been days where the dump smells worse than the latrines.
I have literally had to go to the bathroom so bad till I stepped into that 110-degree latrine, and I step into that 110 latrine, and guess what? I don't have to go anymore. In fact,
those old fiberglass latrines are gone now, aren't they?
Oh
yeah.
Those things were death.
Man, I
only went in there if like you were turtling and it was going to happen then, or somewhere in the middle of the parking lot.
Those latrines, those were.
That was one of the nicest things about Slipsa taking over the concessionaire.
Those are some old latrines.
Like if you wanted to stay on your diet, put your lunch in the latrine. You'll never be hungry.
You think you got to go? Go to the latrine. You're not going to groundhog anymore.
You don't have to go anymore.
Where's a good place to eat near the range?
I live down in Utah County. Steve lives down here, and if you're on the way up or on the Saturday leaving, there's a fantastic place in Orem called Maria Bonita, which has fantastic Mexican food. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's like some of the best
Mexican is not the thing you want to actually eat during a match. We had this discussion.
Oh, sorry. You gringos might not be able to handle it, but us people of Hispanic heritage are
fucking 7 days a week.
Heck yeah, man! You just gotta.
Well, yeah, because your guys' body is used to that trash.
High quality protein. Places to eat up in Salt Lake. Steve, you're a man about town.
Well, my favorite place around Salt Lake, one of my favorites, is Legends Sports Pub. Kind of
course.
It's not super expensive. It's pretty casual. There's one on 3rd West and 7th South or something.
Sounds like a strip club there for a second. Legends.
There's another one in Sandy too. 123rd South and right off the freeway.
If you like getting meat sweats the night before a match like I do, Rodizio
Grill is pretty good too. You can have
That's
the salad
a
bar.
necessity for every state match.
And you can talk yourself that you're not going to spend the extra $12. You're just getting the salad bar. But then your friends have 2 different meats, and you're just like, well, why am I doing this? Why am I torturing myself?
Don't go to Rodizio.
I can get the meats too.
You don't get meat sweats off the salad bar.
You don't get meat sweats.
Yeah,
you leave with a clean, refreshed feeling, but you don't want that. Why do you want that? Most likely, your favorite place to eat will be my favorite place to eat, which is the closest place to sit down in the air conditioning after shooting Utah State.
Bingo. which generally means it's
Chili's.
the Chili's or the Applebee's.
I'm just gonna say it's a proven fact. If you get the meat sweats the night before a match, you shoot better the next day.
Prevents lead poisoning too.
Because every time you draw the gun, you're holding your butt so tight that you're not thinking about anything else.
Goddamn right.
Hey,
better.
I gotta get past the stage.
Hey, you shoot
John and I were talking about having shooting with more of a sense of urgency. That is certainly one way to do it.
Well, the one thing's about having the latrine's gone. If you shot a bad stage, all you would have to do to forget it is go to the latrine. You'd just be like, I can't think about anything else except
it's a memory wiper.
Get it. Lock the door for 30 seconds.
Something's getting wiped anyway. Let's see. From Alex Mansfield. Alex was an RO at the at Area 5, and he says, "Did I at least win the best RO award?" Absolutely. Alex was a great RO. They ran a really fun stage. It was the first stage we shot on Saturday, and they did good.
Did he give out our promo codes during the stage brief?
I actually was overhearing one of the guys talk about getting a Dominate belt.
Yeah. We sold them, Robert. We sold them all. Like the entire Chicago squad with us was looking at us going like, "What do you got? What's your belt?" Like, Dominant Defense, I'll buy it next week. Like,
they're awesome belts.
They are awesome.
They're great belts. Great belts.
We got the internet out here in Utah now, and look what we found online. These belts. Check them out.
All right, last question from Phil Strassman. For a real question, how does Area 5 compare to other area matches? I heard some competitors saying it was one of the hardest area matches they have ever shot. John?
Oh, boy. Well, looking at Area 5 this year, you could bundle Area 5 and Area 8 together. So Keanu Sai, who did Area 8, does a 3-2-1 IPSC style. So those two are very, very similar in terms of real hard technicality, difficulty, and you have to be really, really good with overall trigger control. Area 2 is a hoser match. It costs way too dang much. Who cares? Area 1's kind of in the air since it's been ping-ponged around everywhere that it shouldn't be. And really
Area 1, you're lucky not to get 3 stages thrown out.
Exactly.
Oh, I went there. I totally did.
Area 6 is like Nats. Area 4 is another really good match. It's the perfect mix of Area 5 and Area 8 and Area 6 and Area 2. So you get a little bit of hoser. Chad Stanton was the MD of that one last year. Get a little bit of hoser, get a lot of technical, got a lot of distance. So it feels like a little bit of cameo stages before people didn't want to show up to cameo because of a fake mag ban.
Losers.
Compliers. Area 5 is probably one in terms of difficulty scale. You'll hear it on the compilation that Robert's going to put together of the vlog that we have going, which he'll explain later. But in terms of difficulty, 8.5 out of 10 is what Robert and I gave at Area 5. 8.5.
I think it certainly was. As far as the stages go, the technical requirements of it were very high. I think some of the requirements were probably how do we say this nicely? I think they were too hard, and I hate saying that because it's like, well, just learn how to aim better, jackass. But at the same time, I look at it from the standpoint of, dude, I always come back to Steve Terry. He's like, if you design a stage to get the GMs, you're going to kill the C's and D's.
Well,
that's the way it's always going to be. And I think this match, there probably was a little bit of an element of that.
Well, let's say you throw out stage 13. Looking at everyone's percentages, and there are kind of hits and misses here on the match. I mean, once you throw out that huge stage 13, it kind of seems like things kind of even out. When I look at the overall results, I'm not seeing outliers of people who shouldn't be near the top.
Yeah.
So, like, if you had a freak jury and we all went around, it's like if you had, like, hoser only, technical match only, where would you wind up on the scale?
Well,
like,
to be fair, there were a few stages that were more quick burner stages as that goes. And so it certainly had that in there. I think that stage 13, which was the standard stage, I love standards. I mean, Kenny knows every time we shoot indoor matches, I always try and do standard stage because I just like them. I think it's a good thing to know how to shoot strong hand, know how to shoot weak hand, all that sort of stuff. I think there's a lot of value in that. I shot it okay-ish because we shoot standards all the time. And I like that as from the martial aspect of it. I think maybe that three target array was a little bit too far. Could you have still tested a person's abilities and brought that in a bit? Yes.
Well,
would the GM still have risen to the top? Yeah.
Like without even talking about stage 13, if we take all 12 stages, for example, I want to say at least 7 or 6 of them, either you had to start shooting at a 15+ yard skunk or popper, or you ended on shooting on a 15-yard skunk or popper.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it that way, you're going to have a massive inefficient stage plan. And that's where it's like, if you weren't at least B class, this might have been discouraging. And if you weren't shooting your level anyways, you really got wrecked this match.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, Eric Steiner, he put a post up on his Instagram page where he's sitting in a bathtub with a toaster oven. And he's like, "That's how my match is going." And I think for a lot of folks, that's kind of how they felt. It's tough. I'm not going to bag on the match. I think it was a challenging match. I had a great time with it. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot more technical than I thought it would be, but the stages were good. They were solid stages. I mean, you can go through and you can pick apart or critique anything, and maybe with a week or two perspective and hearing other people talk about it, maybe I'll change my mind a little bit. But just looking back on it, I'm like, it was a good match.
Robert, the real question is, will you show up to Area 5 next year?
Yeah.
That's what I'm on the same boat. We will be there next year if the timing's right. We'll definitely
if we can make the timing right, I would absolutely shoot that again.
Well, it's a good thing you both said yes, because if you said no, that might be financially hurting the USPSA, and you might get thrown
out. We might get banned.
Tom doesn't know where the line is.
Anything could get me banned. Somehow Mike threw a stick across his. What did you do, dude? Okay. I think something fell too. Anyways, thanks for downloading, listening, and subscribing. We appreciate all your guys' fun comments. It was nice to hear 16 words out of Kenny today.
Welcome. Ooh, 18.
So anyways, thanks for doing all that stuff. Thanks to John for being on. So for Steve Koski, Robert Wyatt, Kenny Terry, and John Bautista, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little podcast. Sorry, tugboat. We like to call it PARAcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
And stop recording.
And
Steve, who took frag?